you can't let people ruin a film. I mean, it's true enough that you can't let them ruin a rare film. You know, a print comes from Europe, and you go to see it, and somebody is talking or eating, you know, making noise. I mean, to me, it's not a moral question in the sense that those people don't actually have a right to do that. I think they do have a right to do it. They have a right to ruin the film for other people. I think everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But what that vision of the world, that kind of Hobbesian vision of the world, what that, you know, indicates then is that that also means you have the right to stop people, you know. So there's this ridiculous woman. She came in late, of course. She started making noise. She was eating, I think. She changed her seat and she sat right in front of me. And I was so annoyed that she was sitting in front of me that I started to kick her chair. And I was hoping that by kicking her chair I would get her to move. And she turned to me and she said, stop kicking the chair. And I said, well, next time, why don't you get here on time? And so she said, what does that have to do with anything? But she didn't wait to hear an answer. She just sort of went back to watching the movie. But I went back to continuing to kick her chair. And then she got up, and now she was actually stood up and was really obstructing my view, you know. So I knocked her down. And unfortunately, you know, she seemed to hurt herself really badly. I mean, I wasn't intending to hurt her really badly. I mean, I did knock her down with a certain amount of force, you know, and I knew I was angry and that she sounded like she was in terrible pain. And I actually felt bad, you know. I was like very angry that she was ruining my experience of the film, but I thought, you know, she doesn't really deserve to be wailing in pain like that. But of course, her pain was not enough for me to get up and do anything about it. You know, I wasn't going to get up and apologize. I wasn't going to help carry her out into the lobby, because then I would be missing the film, you know. And really, it is true that, you know, I mean, you know, if somebody were having a heart attack, or, you know, it's a strange thing to admit, you know, but really, I mean, it would be very hard for me to, you know, to feel any sense of moral compunction, you know, about, you know, what to do for another human being, you know, who was in trouble during a movie, if it meant missing the film in order to help them, you know, so, you know, I just let her lie there. And in fact, you know, I realized then that I was in danger because, you know, somebody started saying they should call the police, you know, and I knew that the police were going to come, you know, or that it was likely that they would come. And really at that point, if I had, you know, if I were not a cinephile, a true cinephile, I would have left the theater and escaped, you know, so there would have been no witness that could have proven it was me or whatever, you know. But instead, I waited until the end of the film, and of course the police were there to arrest me immediately after, and that's what happened, you know. What's great is that I'm probably the only person who like handed in photos that made me look like a serial killer, you know, for my little New York Film Festival passes, like that. That looks like a serial killer, right?
God.
It's funny, isn't it? So probably from the early 90s, I would think.